Okay, for my assignment, question number 1 is how do standards influence teaching mathematics in the elementary school? Standards are vital to teaching mathematics, especially state standards, for instance, the TEKS. It shows us as teachers what is required of students at a certain grade level or certain points in the year. And so without the standards, we would not have a consistent approach across all Texas schools of when students are learning certain computations. It really influences the teaching because it gives you exactly what you need to teach, exactly, like how students should be able to learn it, like how they should be able to apply place value. And in kindergarten, how should they use place value compared to fifth grade? How should they use place value? And it should show the progression of how we teach certain concepts such as place value. And so the state standards are probably the most important, but there's also things like the Common Core standards. Those are used in the majority of the United States, and so I really think that that's important because Common Core was kind of influenced by the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, which is a national organization, and this organization creates national standards for teaching mathematics, and it gives things like like equity, like each student should be given a fair and equal chance to learn mathematics in a hands-on way and using technology and using how students learn best. And so I think those standards, like there's constantly research going on in mathematics and it's constantly changing, and so standards will constantly be changing and the way we teach will be changing. But really, I think the reason standards are so important is because there's such a big focus um, on standardized tests and assessment, and whether you agree with it or not, generally, especially in Texas, teachers follow their standards and they follow the TEKS. I think it's also important to pay attention to like international research and standards in other countries and how their students are learning math, and just do professional development and just be exposed to a lot of different standards and different ideas for teaching mathematics rather than just whatever the state standards are. When teaching the topic of place value, how can teachers determine when students first learn about a topic and eventually master the topic? So for example, like place value in kindergarten, when they're first learning place value, they're learning ones and tens, and they're learning that 14 has 1 in the tens place and 4 in the ones place. And, they're using simple problems like that. They're learning up to the hundreds, and they're just learning how to apply place value to certain numbers and use base 10 blocks and manipulatives that are proportional in order to show their place value. So when they're first learning, you can give them assessments and see how well they're doing, things like that. But then as they progress and when they're mastering the topic, they're able to flexibly apply all of the place value knowledge that they have. They can use it in word problems, they can use it in comparing numbers, ordering numbers, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. They can use place value in everything that they're doing. And so that's kind of how you know that they understand place value. Are they able to do decimals? Are they able to compare decimals? Are they able to add and subtract decimals? Are they able to compare decimals on a number line? There's so many things that they should be doing with place value when they master the topic. And so as a teacher, you just assess them on, what they're learning at that time. And in kindergarten, maybe they're learning tens and ones and hundreds. And in fifth grade, maybe they are dividing decimals. And so really you can determine how far they are along the topic based on what they can do with place value and how they can apply it to all the concepts of mathematics. Because place value is one of those topics that it goes on, and if you don't know place value, you won't get far in mathematics because it's like one of the base foundational knowledge that's needed. What is your opinion about instructional standards at the national, state, and local levels? In my opinion, I personally think that the state standards are probably the most important, mainly because across the state, students should be learning similar concepts at similar times and making sure everyone's on track. I think national standards are important because it gives a wider view of what students should know, and it gives a different way of approaching it. Like the NCTM will give a different way of approaching it than the TEKS will, and I think that's great. And local, I think that it's important that districts have their own way of doing math, but I think that it's really important that it's consistent across the nation.